Hi, my name is Nicholas Navarro, and I'm currently a senior in the College of Arts and Sciences studying philosophy, politics, and economics with a minor in Hispanic studies. While at Penn, I've had the opportunity to take part in some incredible experiences, one of them being a semester studying abroad in Barcelona, Spain, with a consortium of advanced studies abroad. While in the program, we had to develop a research project around a topic of interest that we developed during our time there. For my topic, I chose to look at the Catalan independence movement and some of the historical claims surrounding the movement. I developed an interest in this topic because the Catalan independence movement was the only time that I had a first-hand experience with independence-like processes that I had only studied in theory through PPE. As I heard from both pro and anti-independence residents of Barcelona, the movement would change their lives if it were successful. Even more so, the movement already affected their lives on a daily basis through student strikes, general strikes, unsanctioned elections, and protests ranging from 50 to an estimated 1 million people according to some numbers. From the day that I arrived in Barcelona, I got to hear of how the Catalans had been historically oppressed by the Spanish, and how it was this very oppression that gave the Catalans a claim to independence and liberty from an oppressive government. As a result, I sought to study the importance and legitimacy of this claimed history to the Catalan independence movement in my research project. For the purposes of this video, I want to focus on a couple key moments within the narrative of Catalan independence. The two sources I primarily used were Adonde vas Catalunya by Ramon Tamames and Dioses Útiles by José Álvarez Junco. The 11th of September is the Day of Catalunya, which is a national holiday for the Catalan state and nation. Even more so, for the Catalan independence movement and for the Catalan state, the day is representative of their historical oppression at the hands of the Spanish state and is considered to be the most mythicized event of Catalan history. Interestingly, instead of representing a pinnacle of Catalan society, September 11th marks the day that the Catalans, quote, lost their independence to Spain at the end of the War of Spanish Succession, which constituted of a disputed line of succession between the French Bourbons and the Austrian Habsburgs. However, upon further investigation, the 11th of September does not mark a loss of independence, but a change in internal Spanish policies and politics. That is, Catalonia was already a part of the Spanish state under a pact system. Notably, the Catalans had accepted the Bourbon king at the beginning of the war, but later switched to the Habsburg side upon experiencing the centralization processes of the Bourbon king. In this regard, the 11th of September does not represent a conquest of Barcelona or of Catalonia outside of the Catalan people, that is, and that they lost their independence. It instead represents a reoccupation of the Spanish territory by the Spanish Bourbon crown after it had been displaced during the War of Succession. Catalonia had instead changed wartime alliances in the face of increasing centralization, but the region pertained to the crown before and after the war. In line with these processes of centralization that occurred at the end of the Spanish War of Succession are the decrees of Nueva Plata, occurring between 1704 and 1716, which abolished many laws and institutions from different reigns within the Spanish state, including Catalonia. While the Catalan independence movement takes these decrees to be evidence of the intentional oppression of the Catalan people, the reality is that these decrees applied to many of the reigns throughout Spain, and served instead to centralize and homogeneize the Iberian Peninsula, where Spain is located. This was in hopes of servicing a construction of a more unified state. While there may still be a legitimate complaint regarding the decrees themselves, the consequences by no means intentionally and prejudiciously oppose the Catalan nation. First of all, following the decrees, the Catalan state was able to monopolize trade in the interior of the peninsula and even enjoyed greater commerce with the overseas colonies. Secondarily, while certain institutions were abolished, many only served as logistical hurdles or ceremonial institutions. For example, the decrees abolished the Catalan court, which appears to be oppressive, but this really gains a new context given that the court had only met twice in 34 years before the decrees. The historical record is against the supposedly consistent resistance to the Spanish state by the Catalans. As a reconsideration of these two events shows, the reality of the Catalan-Spanish relationship was not oppressive. Instead, it represented a more federally based relationship grounded in an actual sense of allegiance. In other words, the multinational Spanish state, even in its earlier formation, still incorporated the various regions and their governments and reigns into the overarching body. Importantly, history concurs with this. In one example, during the French occupation of Spain, Catalonia decided to instead stand with the Spanish government and did not seek to become an independent state. In another, when the Cortes of Cádiz were declared in 1802, marking the transformation of the Spanish Empire and, more importantly, the start of several nationalization processes, Catalonia was present at those courts to advocate for their region. In these two events, it is seen how Catalonia worked within institutional processes that already existed, negating the idea that total independence was gravely needed throughout all of history. Instead, As the Catalan nationality developed itself alongside the greater economic success, the economic interests of Catalonia came to represent all of Catalonia, not just the upper classes. Nonetheless, even further forward in history, it can be seen how Catalan self-advocacy still incorporated itself within the Spanish state and functioned in that way. Valentí Almirall, who was responsible for writing Lo Catalanisme in 1886, which sought to define what it meant to be Catalan, is often used to justify the desire for independence. However, what Almirall actually advocated for was a Catalan nation within the Spanish state. Similarly, when independence was declared by the president of the region in 1934, it was declared, quote, as a Catalan state within an Iberian federation. Once again, it's seen that the desire for independence or autonomy historically was never a debate about total independence like the movement likes to say. For the independence movement, history has been a key tool for legitimating itself. Specifically, in referring to different historical events regarding the Spanish-Catalan relationship, the independence movement stops to be a political issue and becomes the story of historical oppression. In doing so, the independence movement is able to both shield itself from the policy and economic considerations of independence while simultaneously gaining the moral authority in the situation. More so, by making the argument principally a historical one, the movement does not have to recognize the ideological differences within the movement, as can be easily shown by the different kinds of independence flags that exist, each one representing a different imagined future for an independent Catalonia. Every day we hear about the power history has to change our present, how it can impart lessons, how it can help us to shape our future. But I don't think I had truly considered how much of an impact it could have before observing the Catalan independence movement and before researching the myths that surround it. That is why, for me, the most intriguing research discovery I made at Penn was that history, even when manipulated, was the strongest legitimizing tool of the Catalan independence movement. However, the implication that history could be utilized and manipulated in such a way helps to send me, and I think everyone, an incredible message about why the truth and self-examination is so important in the context of our society's discussions on truth, democracy, and self-rule. From my time and research in Barcelona, I took away lessons about how important it is to know our own history here at home. Thank you very much.